I slammed the door to my boss's office, so hard the frosted glass rattled. But it didn't matter, by then. The entire floor of HARPER and KLINE advertising knew what she'd done. "You're done, Lila. Pack your shit and get out before I call security," Evelyn Voss had hissed, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the edge of her desk like claws ready to shred. And just like that, after 5 years of bleeding for this company, covering her ass on every pitch, ghostwriting her emails to the C-suite, I was the villain in her rewrite of history. It wasn't the firing that gutted me, it was the lie she pinned it on. The client leak. The one she'd orchestrated herself to bury her own screw-up, letting me take the fall like some disposable intern. But Evelyn didn't know. I'd been keeping score. Every late-night text, every whispered confession over martinis at the Oak Room, every dirty secret she'd spilled thinking I was her loyal shadow. By Sunday night, as I stared at my laptop screen in my cramped Brooklyn walk-up, fingers hovering over send, I made the call that would unravel her empire thread by thread. Revenge isn't sweet, folks. It's a slow poison you force them to swallow while they smile for the cameras. The rain hammered against my window like it was trying to drown out the city noise. But nothing could wash away the acid burn in my chest. I'd met Evelyn 5 years ago at a networking mixer in Chelsea. Back when I was fresh out of NYU with a portfolio full of dreams and a student loan the size of Texas. She was the queen bee, 42, divorced twice, with cheekbones that could cut glass and a laugh that echoed like champagne flutes clinking in a penthouse. "Darling, talent like yours? It's wasted on the small fries. Come work for me. We'll conquer Madison Avenue together." Her words had hooked me deeper than any ad slogan. And just like that, I was her executive assistant, her right hand, her confessor. At first, it was magic. Late nights brainstorming campaigns for luxury brands, Rolex watches that whispered power, perfumes that seduced the soul. Evelyn taught me the game, how to schmooze VCs at rooftop parties, how to bury bad press with a well-timed donation to the right charity. She was my mentor, my fierce big sister type. The one who'd pull me aside after a killer presentation and say, "Lila, you're a force. Don't let these dinosaurs dim your light." I'd idolize her, replaying those moments in my head during the soul-crushing commutes on the L train. But cracks showed early. Like the time we lost the Coca-Cola account because Evelyn had accidentally forwarded a competitor's bid to her ex-husband's firm. Oops. Right? She made me sign off on the apology email, claiming it built my ownership. Or the intern, poor Jake from Ohio, who she rode so hard he quit after 2 months, sobbing in the stairwell. I cleaned up that mess too, forging his exit interview to say it was personal reasons. Evelyn called it loyalty. I called it survival. The real rot started 6 months ago, when we landed the biggest fish, Vanguard Pharma's opioid relaunch. Billions on the line. FDA whispers turning into screams about overprescription lawsuits. Evelyn was lead, but she panicked, hired a shady consultant to juice the data, make the pills look like lifesavers instead of landmines. I found out late one night, buried in her trash folder, emails to a ghost account, payments funneled through offshore shells. "Lila, honey," she purred over takeout Thai. "This stays between us. You're family now." Family. That word twisted like a knife when the leak hit. Some anonymous tip to the Wall Street Journal, Vanguard's execs foaming, pulling the plug mid-pitch. Evelyn's eyes went feral in the war room. "Who the hell talked?" she snarled, scanning us like we were suspects in a lineup. Then her gaze locked on me. Me, the The one who'd stayed until 3 a.m. that week. The one with access to everything. You, she said, voice ice cold. It was you, wasn't it? Trying to play hero? I laughed, nerves, denial, whatever. Evelyn.
Come on.
I'd never, but she was already dialing HR. Her free hand waving me out like swatting a fly.
Out. Now.
Or I'll make sure no agency in this city touches you. The elevator ride down was a blur. Colleagues averting eyes. Whispers chasing me like ghosts. By the time I hit the street, soaked in a sudden downpour, the betrayal settled in my bones. She'd framed me for her own crime. The one I'd helped cover. Saturday blurred into a haze of rage and cheap Merlot. I paced my apartment, the kind with peeling wallpaper and a view of a brick wall, replaying every concession I'd made. The time I lied to her second ex about the affair with the junior partner. The donation from company funds to her plastic surgeon, framed as team building. And the big one, 3 years ago, when her teenage niece OD'd on those same Vanguard pills. Evelyn had begged me to alter the internal report, make it look like user error, not a batch flaw. Lila, if this gets out, I'm ruined.
Please.
For me, I'd done it, hating myself, thinking it was one-time mercy. Now, mercy was dead. I cracked open my old laptop, the one I'd kept off the company server, a habit from my journalism days, and pulled up the archive. Screenshots, voice memos, that damning email chain. It wasn't just dirt, it was dynamite. But revenge isn't a Molotov, it's precision strikes. I started small, an anonymous post on Glassdoor, detailing the toxic culture at HARPER and KLINE, with just enough specifics to sting Evelyn's favorites system, the way she'd poach credit like a magpie. By midnight, it had 50 views. Child's play. Sunday morning, hungover and hollow, I escalated. A tip line to ProPublica, insider at major ad firm manipulating pharma data. Check Vanguard. Attached, redacted docs. Timestamps tying back to her IP. Not enough to fry her outright, plausible deniability. Baby, but enough to light the fuse. Then, the personal touch, a burner email to her current flame. That slick venture capitalist. Spilling about her side hustle with the consultant. She's playing you too, I typed, attaching a flirty text chain from last month. I hit send and vomited into the sink. Was this me? The girl who'd once volunteered at soup kitchens, quoting MLK in her college essays? But the mirror showed a stranger with fire in her eyes, Lila Voss.
No.
Just Lila now, reborn in the ashes. By afternoon, the Glassdoor review was viral in industry Slack channels. Evelyn's name trended on LinkedIn with #MeTooMeNot hashtags, ironic, since she'd always preached girl power while stabbing backs. Monday dawned gray and vicious. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, scrolling news feeds from my couch. HARPER and KLINE stock dipped 2% pre-market. Coincidence? Then the Wall Street Journal alert pinged, ad giant under scrutiny for pharma ties. My tip. Splashed across page 1. Vanguard statement. Deeply concerned. Reviewing partnerships. Evelyn's face would be ashen in her corner office. That panoramic view of the Hudson mocking her now. I called in sick to my temp gig barista at a Soho cafe, scraping by on tips, and hit the streets instead. Union Square. Protesters chanting about big pharma greed. Felt poetic, being part of the mob without them knowing. By noon, my phone buzzed with a blocked number, Evelyn. I let it ring, savoring the vibration like a heartbeat in my palm. Voicemail. Lila. Whatever you're doing, stop. This isn't you. Come back. We'll fix it. 50 grand severance. My word. Liar. I deleted it and forwarded the ProPublica link to a few ex-colleagues. The ones she'd burned before me. Remember Jake? One texted back. Karma's a bitch. United front forming. Whispers turning to roars. But Evelyn wasn't done fighting. That evening, as I nursed a beer at a dive bar in the East Village, my old work email, still hacked via a forgotten password, pinged with her damage control. She'd thrown me under the bus harder. An internal memo blaming the leak on a disgruntled former employee with a history of instability. Attached. My performance reviews. Doctored to show erratic behavior. She'd even looped in my old prof from NYU, twisting a B+ into unreliable source. Rage boiled over. I slammed my fist on the sticky bar top, drawing stares. The bartender, a grizzled vet named Sal, slid me a shot. Rough day. Kid. I spilled it all, minus names, and he nodded like he'd heard it 1,000 times. Worlds full of Evelyns. You gotta hit 'em where it hurts, the mirror. Inspiration struck. Her vanity. That Instagram feed. All power poses and boss babe captions. I created a shadow account, at Truth Behind the Throne, and started posting blurred photos from her office drawer, receipts for consulting fees, notes on the niece's OD cover-up. No faces, just facts. Hashtags, ad scam formalize. By Tuesday, her mentions were a dumpster fire. Sponsors pulling back, Gucci, that luxury watch brand, citing reputational risk. HARPER and KLINE's board called an emergency meeting. Leaks said Evelyn was on thin ice. She fought dirty. Of course. Private investigators? I spotted a guy in a cheap suit tailing me from the subway, snapping pics outside my building. I lost him in a crowd at Bryant Park, heart pounding like a war drum. That night, paranoia set in. I double-locked my door, barricaded with a chair, and drafted the kill shot, a full dossier to the DA's office. Wire fraud, falsified docs, the niece thing screamed manslaughter cover-up. But as I typed, doubt crept. What if this destroyed innocence? The firm had 200 employees, my ex-teammates counting on bonuses. And Evelyn, under the Viper. There's the woman who'd bought me my first Chanel bag after a big win, who'd cried in my arms over her miscarriages. Was I becoming her?
No. She chose this.
Wednesday brought the twist, a courier at my door. Manila envelope, no return address. Inside, photos of me at protests, timestamps from the leak day. Blackmail? Then a note in her looping script. We both have skeletons. Lila. Walk away. Or yours dance in the light. My stomach dropped. The internship forgery from college, petty theft to fund tuition. Expunged but traceable. She dug it up, weaponized it. Game on. I countered with a live stream from my phone, anonymous. Face blurred, detailing the whole saga. Fired for her sins. Now she's hunting me. Who's the real criminal? Views spiked. 10K. 50K. Reporters swarmed HARPER and KLINE's lobby. Evelyn barricaded. But not before a pap snapped her fleeing to a waiting town car. Shades hiding red-rimmed eyes. The climax hit Thursday. Boardroom showdown leaked via a sympathetic insider. Evelyn, defiant in pearls and pencil skirt, accused me of sabotage born of jealousy. But the board had my dossier, courtesy of an overnight drop, and Vanguard's lawyers were en route. She cracked then, voice breaking. It was for the company. For us. Lies crumbling like cheap drywall. I watched from a coffee shop. Live feed on my tablet. Cheers erupting in my chest. But as security escorted her out, box of personal effects and arms, the twist landed like a sucker punch. Her phone dropped in the scuffle. Screen cracked but alive. A text from me? No, from years ago. The one where I'd greenlit the data tweak. For you, Evelyn. Always. Proof I'd been complicit. The feed caught it. Comments exploded. Team Evelyn rising. Was I the snake all along? Friday. The fallout. HARPER and KLINE imploded. Stock crashed 15%. Layoffs announced. Evelyn vanished. Rumored to a cabin in the Adirondacks. Lawyered up.
Me?
Subpoena incoming. But a book deal whispered from a Wall Street Journal editor. Vindication? Or villainy? As I stood on the Brooklyn Bridge at sunset, wind whipping my hair. The city sprawled below like a beast sated but hungry. I wondered. Revenge rebuilt me. But at what cost? The line between Avenger and monster? Blurred as the Hudson's haze. The subpoena arrived via certified mail on Saturday morning. A crisp white envelope that might as well have been a rattlesnake coiled on my doormat. I tore it open with shaking hands, the legalese blurring under coffee-stained fingers. State of New York v. Voss et al. My name right there beside hers, Lila Harper.
No.
Just Lila now, but forever tainted. Complicit. That's what they called it. The lawyers on the news already spinning. A tale of two women, both wielding the knife. Viewership spiked. My shadow account hit 1 million followers overnight. Hero to some, harpy to others. Welcome to the American dream's dark underbelly, where justice is a popularity contest and truth bends like a funhouse mirror. I didn't cry. Not then. Instead, I laced up my sneakers, the ratty Nikes from college track days, and ran. Not away, but through it, pounding pavement from Brooklyn Heights to the waterfront, lungs burning, mind racing ahead of my feet. The city assaulted me with its chaos, honking taxis, steam rising from manhole covers, a street preacher ranting about end times under the shadow of one world trade. It all felt personal, like New York itself was judging, whispering, "You asked for this,
kid.
Now own it." By midday, sweat-soaked and spent, I collapsed on a bench overlooking the East River, Queens glittering mockingly across the water. My phone buzzed incessantly. Texts from strangers, slay queen, corporate whore. Voicemails from recruiters, we admire your guts, interview. And one from Mom in Ohio. Lila?
CNN?
Call me. Honey. We're worried. I ignored them all, staring at the water's churn. That's when the real hook sank in, not Evelyn's betrayal, but mine. I'd enabled her, layer by layer, because ambition tastes like freedom until it chokes you. Flashback to year 2 at the firm. A sweltering July when AC broke and deadlines loomed like thunderheads. Evelyn dragged me to a strategy session at her Hamptons rental, white clapboard house on the dunes. Infinity pool kissing the Atlantic. Team building, she called it. But it was boot camp. Whiteboarding lies into legends. Toasting with rose as the sun bled orange. That's when she confessed the niece, Sophie. 16. Sweet kid with braces and dreams of Juilliard. Found unresponsive in her dorm room at boarding school. Empty pill bottle from a Vanguard sample pack Evelyn had procured for a client demo. It was an accident, Evelyn slurred. Waves crashing like accusations. The batch was fine, I swear. But if the report flags it. She trailed off, eyes glassy. I nodded, young and foolish, pouring another glass. We'll fix the narrative. Make it user error. Tragic. But not our fault. By dawn, the report was rewritten on my laptop. Signatures forged in a hangover haze. Evelyn hugged me then. Fierce and fierce. You're my rock. Lila. Blood oath. Blood oath. What a crock. That weekend blurred into a montage of guilt, deleting search histories, shredding drafts, lying to auditors with a straight face. Sophie's obituary haunted me. Beloved daughter. Taken too soon, clipped and tucked in my drawer like a talisman. Evelyn moved on, promoted to VP, while I climbed slower, the invisible weight dragging my heels.
Now.
With the subpoena scorching my palm, that weight snapped back like a rubber band to the face. I couldn't run forever. Back in my apartment, I lawyered up, pro bono, from a legal-age shark named Maria, a no-nonsense Latina from the Bronx who'd sued banks for breakfast. Plea for immunity, she advised over Zoom. Her office a war zone of files and faded Yankees posters. You flip on boss. DA might go easy. But it'll cost you testimony, headlines, therapy bills. I agreed, stomach nodding. Betraying Evelyn again? Or saving my skin? The lines blurred further that night when a package thumped against my door. No note. Just a USB drive and a single red rose. Thorns intact. Evelyn's touch. Poetic cruelty. I plugged it in. Breath held. Videos. Grainy security cam from the office. Me slipping into her desk after hours. Rifling drawers. The night I'd planted the consultant's card as insurance. Followed by audio. My voice. Laughing with her over the doctored report. We're untouchable.
Ev.
Framed. Again. But whose frame? The timestamps didn't lie, I'd done it. All of it. To protect us both. Or was it just me? Climbing on her corpse? Paranoia peaked. I smashed a glass against the wall. Shards glittering like fallen stars. Sal's words echoed. Hit M where it hurts, the mirror. Time to shatter hers completely. Sunday. I went public. Not reckless, calculated. A medium post. The other side of the leak. Raw and unfiltered. My complicity laid bare. Evelyn's manipulations dissected like a frog in bio class. I was her shadow. But shadows have edges that cut both ways. Attached. The USB files. Annotated. Views detonated, shared by influencers. Dissected on podcasts. Lila versus Evelyn trended. Twitter, sorry. X. A battlefield of memes. Me as Joan of Arc. Evelyn as Cruella. The pushback was swift. Evelyn's camp, loyalists from her sorority days, leaked my college theft. Kleptomaniac turned corporate saboteur. Trolls doxed my address. I moved to Maria's couch. A lumpy futon smelling of takeout lo mein. But allies emerged too. Jake, the ex-intern, started a GoFundMe for whistleblower warriors. Sophie's aunt, Evelyn's estranged sister, emailed, thank you for the truth. Sophie deserved better. Monday brought the hearing, downtown courthouse. Marble halls echoing with heels and hushed deals. I testified in a borrowed blazer. Voice steady as Maria coached. Short sentences. Eye contact. Own your regret. Evelyn sat across the aisle. Transformed, hair limp. No makeup. Eyes hollowed like a Depression-era photo. Our gazes locked. Hers pleaded, then hardened. Traitor, she mouthed. I looked away, bile rising. The DA grilled me. MS. Harper, you admit to falsifying documents. Yes. For personal gain? For loyalty. Misplaced, but real. Gasps from the gallery, reporters scribbling furiously. Evelyn's turn. She spun a sob story. Lila manipulated me. The ambitious upstart, tears artfully deployed. The room split, murmurs of poor Evelyn clashing with bullshit.
Outside.
Chaos, mics thrust like swords, questions flying. Do you regret it? One shouted. I paused. Rain starting to spit from slate skies. Every day. But silence kills more than words. Viral clip. Dissected endlessly. Was I redeemed or ruined? That night. Holed up at Maria's. The twist uncoiled. A call from an unknown. Lila? It's Sophie. Not dead, alive?
No.
Evelyn's niece. Faked OD to escape her aunt's grip. The report, a cover for emancipation. She told everyone I was gone to control the narrative. Used it to guilt you. My world tilted. The crime I'd borne? A lie within a lie. Evelyn's masterstroke, sacrificing a ghost to bind me. Rage reignited.
Pure now.
I rallied, leaked the real Sophie story to The Intercept. Voice memo attached, her soft Midwestern lilt confirming. Evelyn's empire crumbled further. Board ousted her by dawn vote. Vanguard sued for defamation. But as I watched her perp walk on the morning news, cuffs glinting under flashbulbs, something cracked in me. Victory tasted like ash. We'd both danced on graves. Real and imagined. The city moved on. Indifferent.
Me?
I quit the temp life. Started a newsletter, Unfiltered Ambition, chronicling corporate sins. Subscribers poured in, checks clearing my debts. But late nights, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, I wondered, if I'd walked away that rainy Friday, would Sophie have spoken sooner? Would I be whole? Revenge mended nothing. It just traded one monster for another. And in America's grind,
We all were the mask.
2 weeks post-hearing, the city exhaled, or so it seemed. HARPER and KLINE rebranded overnight to KLINE Strategies, a bloodless coup by the COO. A bland suit named Hargrove who'd always lurked like a vulture. My byline popped up in the Atlantic, the ad world's reckoning. One woman's fall, another's rise. Flattering. But the comment section was a coliseum. Thumbs up for my bravery, pitchforks for my hypocrisy. America loves a redemption arc. But only if it's tidy. Hallmark wrapped. Mine? A jagged scar.
Itching under the spotlight.
I moved to a sublet in Williamsburg. Exposed brick. Exposed nerves. A perk from the newsletter's early buzz. Morning started with oat milk lattes at the corner cafe. Evenings with virtual therapy sessions dissecting the betrayal bond. Maria, my lawyer/therapist by proxy, warned, Evelyn's appeal is filed. She's got heavy hitters, XAG on retainer. Don't get cocky. Cocky?
Nah. Cautious.
Like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Sophie reached out again. This time for coffee. We met at a quiet spot in Greenpoint, the kind with mismatched mugs and indie folk crooning from speakers. She was 20 now, wait.
No. 19?
Time warps and scandals, petite, with Evelyn's cheekbones but eyes like warm cider. Free of the venom. Aunt Ev. She wasn't always like that, Sophie started, stirring her chai with unnecessary vigor. Dad's firm went bust in '08. She clawed her way up, pulling strings. But after Mom died, cancer, quick and cruel, Ev snapped. Started seeing me as collateral. I nodded, sipping black coffee bitter as regret. The OD story? Faked. I swallowed aspirin, staged it to get emancipated. She covered it up to save face. Couldn't have family drama, tanking her image. Sophie's laugh was hollow, like wind through empty bottles. You were her perfect patsy. Loyal, smart, broke enough to need the job. Patsy. The word stung fresh. I'd been playing checkers while she chessed the board. We talked for hours, her Juilliard dreams deferred for community college shifts, my NYU ghosts of what-ifs. By the end, a fragile alliance formed. Sophie. Key to the appeal, me. The megaphone. Testify with me, I urged. End this. She hesitated, fingers tracing a scar on her wrist, not from pills, but a training accident at Ev's equestrian club. What if she wins? Comes after us both. She won't. I lied. But doubt gnawed. That night, scrolling X for updates, I stumbled on Evelyn's new profile at Ev Voss Unfiltered. Posts dripped contrition, yoga poses in Catskills flannel, captions about growth through grace, subtle jabs, true friends forgive, snakes shed skins, followers 50K and climbing, a cult of the cancelled rising. The counterstrike brewed in my gut. I dove back into the shadows, this time with Sophie's intel. Digging through public records, pacer dockets, FOIA requests, I unearthed Evelyn's web, payoffs to the consultant, a slush fund disguised as diversity grants. But the gem? Her ex-husband's firm, the one she'd accidentally favored. Divorce papers sealed, but a clerk buddy, shout out to journalism roots, cracked them. Alimony dodged via offshore trusts, tied to Vanguard kickbacks.
Tuesday.
I dropped the bomb. Newsletter exclusive. The Ghost Network, how one ad exec funneled millions.
Screenshots.
Wire transfers redacted just enough for deniability. Mine. The piece went nuclear, shared by Elizabeth Warren's office. Fact-checked by Reuters and Hours. Evelyn's growth feed froze, comments turned feral. Grifter. Lock her up. Her response was vintage boss, oppressor from some midtown hotel. Flanked by handlers. Voice quivering with rehearsed fury. Lila Harper's vendetta knows no bounds. She's not a whistleblower, she's a stalker. Obsessed with destroying lives. Cut to B-roll. Me at protests. Erratic clips looped. Then the gut punch. And Sophie? Brainwashed by lies. My niece is safe. At a wellness retreat. Away from this toxicity. Safe? Wellness? Sophie's frantic call came at midnight. She's got people. Said if I talk, they'll help me disappear for real. Panic clawed my throat. I bundle her into an Uber to Maria's safe house now, while I pace my loft. Mind a storm of contingencies. Call the cops? They'd laugh. Rich, white lady versus two unstable millennials. Go bigger. A joint op-ed with Sophie in The Guardian. Aunt versus niece. The family's secrets Big Pharma hides. It published Wednesday. Global ripple. Protests swelled outside KLINE Strategies. Shareholders dumped stock like hot garbage. Evelyn's appeal hearing loomed Friday. Judge a grizzled Fed who'd lunch with DA cronies. We prepped war. Sophie in witness protection light. Maria's cousin's farm upstate. Me with a live feed setup for remote testimony. But Evelyn twisted again. Thursday Eve. A knock, not cops, but a silver-haired fixer in a Brioni suit. MS. Voss offers a deal. Mutual NDAs. 7-figure split. Walk away clean. His smile was oil slick. I laughed, door slamming in his Ferragamos. But sleep evaded, dreams of Evelyn's office. Glass shattering, blood, mine, pooling on the carpet. Climax Friday. Virtual courtroom, a pressure cooker of pixels. Judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Evelyn appeared from a wood-paneled study, composed as a senator. My feed glitched, intentional, but I studied. Voice amplified. Your Honor, this isn't about one leak. It's a pattern. Falsified deaths. Laundered funds. Lives ruined for profit. Sophie followed. Live from the farm. Tear-streaked but steel. She faked my death to control me. Used it to manipulate Lila. It's sociopathy, not strategy. The room, Zoom, fractured. Evelyn's lawyer objected furiously. Hearsay. Slander. But the judge leaned in, eyes narrowing at the docs-eyed email pre-hearing. MS. Voss. Your response. Evelyn's close-up filled my screen. Cracks showing. Lipstick smudged. They're lying. For attention. I built that firm. Built it on bodies. I interjected. Mic hot. Chaos mutes. Warnings. The chat exploding with "Let her speak." Judge adjourned. Deliberations pending, but the die was cast. By evening, federal agents raided Evelyn's retreat, warrant swift as karma. Headline screamed, Ad Mogul's empire of lies crumbles. We won, sort of. Charges stuck, fraud, obstruction. Evelyn plea bargained down to 5 years. White-collar spa and minimum security. Sophie got her Juilliard audition. A TED Talk invite. But the divide lingered, fans mailing me warrior mugs. Haters slashing my tires caught on ring cam.
Per pavos intern.
No one fully right. I'd sinned. She'd suffered. America's favorite pastime, debating the damned. As leaves turned in Prospect Park, Sophie and I walked, air crisp with cider stands and buskers. Think she'll change? She asked. I shrugged, kicking a pebble. Prisons reform the body, not the soul. My own soul, scarred. But scarred builds calluses. Revenge's final twist, it frees you to forgive yourself. Maybe even her. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice. December winds howling through the canyons of Midtown, frosting the Christmas lights into brittle halos. 6 months post-raid, the scandal had cooled to true crime fodder, podcasts rehashing the Voss vendetta, Netflix sniffing for rights. KLINE strategies limped on. Hargrove's bland reign a corporate coma.
Me?
The newsletter morphed into a Substack empire. Shadow plays, dissecting power's underbelly. Me Too holdouts. Crypto grifts. The quiet corrosion of souls in suits. Checks rolled in, enough for a down payment on a 1-bed in Bed-Stuy. Therapy without the pro bono asterisk. But ghosts don't pay rent. Evelyn's letters started arriving. Contraband from her federal resort in Danbury. Pale blue envelopes with that looping script. First one. Lila. You won. Happy? Rotting here while you sip lattes. I burned it in the sink. Zippo flame dancing like derision. Second. Sophie visits. Says you're her hero. Liar. That one I framed. Pinned to my vision board beside fuck you money goals. Hero? Villain? The debate raged in fan mail. Half adoring. Half vitriol. America thrives on gray, We pick sides like teams at a cage match. Sophie's star-ascended, violin prodigy. Scholarships pouring like rain. We met monthly. Her dorm a riot of sheet music and string lights. Mine a sanctuary of bookshelves groaning under whistleblower tomes. Ev's appealing again, she mentioned over vegan pizza one January night. Snow blanketing the village like forgiveness unsought. Claims prosecutorial misconduct. You. My fork paused midair. Cheese stringing like frayed nerves. Let her. We've got the truth. But truth's a slippery eel. That week. A tip from a source. Ex-Vanguard counsel. A conscience pricked, landed in my inbox. Redacted memos showing I'd initialed the offshore transfers. Not just complicit. Architect. Evelyn's final play? Leaking them to her appeal judge. Painting me as puppet master.
Panic? Nah.
Resolve. I preempted. A live X space. The full uncut. My role in the rot. Listeners flooded. 10K. Peaking at 50 as I spilled. Yeah. I signed. Thought it was survival. But survival's no excuse for silence. Questions barraged. Regrets. Would you do it again? I laughed.
Raw.
Regret's my middle name. Again? Smarter. Not silent. The space trended. Splitting the hive, mind anew. Lila confesses trended with Evelyn vindicated. Therapy Twitter hailed my vulnerability. Bro podcasters called it cope. By week's end, the memos hit court, but my confession neutered them. Judge denied appeal. No new evidence. Only echoes. Evelyn's response? Radio silence. Or so I thought. February brought the twist that gutted me proper. A call from Danbury's warden. Voss wants to sit down. Victim-offender mediation. Your call. Mediation? With the serpent? Maria advised against. She's cornered snakes bite hardest. Sophie urged yes. Closure. Lila. For both. Sleepless nights warred within. Curiosity versus caution. Empathy versus
Enmity.
I went. Neutral ground, a fluorescent-lit conference room upstate.
Guards like bookends.
Evelyn shuffled in, orange jumpsuit clashing with her sallow skin. Hair a severe bob. No makeup to armor her. We sat across scarred oak, air thick as congealed gravy. You look free, she said. Voice a rasp and used to chains. Appearances. I crossed arms. Fortress. What?
Ev?
Absolution. Her laugh cracked. Genuine. First I'd heard in years. From you?
Nah. Curiosity.
How'd you sleep after? Like shit. You? Nightmares. Sophie playing violin in a coffin.
Pause.
Eyes locking, mirrors to mutual wreckage. She leaned in. The niece thing? Not my idea. Her dad's, my brother, pushed the cover to dodge lawsuits. I went along. Dragged you in.
Lie?
Truth? Her eyes held steady. Stripped of guile. Then why frame me? Panic. The leak hit. I saw you smart. Rising, and feared you'd eclipse.
Petty.
Ha!
Petty.
The word deflated the balloon of hate. We talked hours, raw. Unfiltered. Her miscarriages as ambition's fuel. My theft as poverty's scar.
No επάλεγεις εξchand.
Just acknowledgements. We're both monsters, she said finally. Made by the machine. Driving back. Sleet slashing windshield. Catharsis bloomed uneasy. Not forgiveness, too pat, but understanding. The machine. America's churn. where dreams devour dreamers. Evelyn's last letter came weeks later. Keep writing. Make it count.
Ev.
I kept it. Unburned. Spring thawed the city. Cherry blossoms defiant against concrete. Sophie graduated Juilliard, front row tears from me. My book deal solidified. Implosion, a revenge requiem. Launch party at the Strand. Crowd, eclectic, activists, execs, skeptics toasting ambiguity. To gray areas, I clinked glasses, heart lighter than in years. But the final twist? A summer. A package. Evelyn's effects.
Auction post-parole de Niall.
Inside. My first Chanel bag. Note pinned. You earned it first. Take it back. I donated it. Auction for whistleblower funds. Keeping the note. Happy ending? Tragic?
Nah. Real.
In America's endless arena, we fight.
We fall.
We rise, scarred, but standing. And sometimes, that's the only win worth claiming. The end? Or just intermission? As I type this, cursor blinking like a dare, the debate rages on, forums dissecting, readers picking sides. Who's right? Who's wrong?
Hell if I know.
But in the gray, that's the spark. Question everything. Forgive sparingly. And never, ever, let them rewrite your story.